Hey everybody, Lieutenant Joe here for Hope is Not a Tactic. I've seen a couple of articles recently that are important to everybody in every school, everywhere. And it's talking about the growing concerns about vaping. Now, I know we've talked about vaping in the past, but I think we're going to talk about it a couple more minutes here because it's important to hear the things that are being found in vape now that never was before and the dangers it brings to you. Now, some of you have heard me talk about vaping and the dangers, health risks, and consequences of vaping, but some of you had not. So, what I did, being the director of school safety and security for a district where we started to see vaping pop up, and the older kids, you know, the seventh graders, eighth graders, ninth graders, and then, of course, all the high school kids. What we found was that at the time, vaping was considered what better than smoking, right? Who wants to smoke with all the gases and the smoke itself in your lungs? Very, very bad, especially for the kids, right? And we know that people become addicted to cigarettes, and that addiction is almost harder than heroin. Now, if you've never been a smoker, you don't understand that. You say, that's ridiculous. Heroin is unbelievable. And heroin is terrible. 95% of people hooked to heroin never get off, right? Well, how many people do you know that smoked and quit, and smoked and quit, and smoked and quit, and kept on smoking? So when vaping first came out, we were told it's better than smoking cigarettes. There's no smoke involved. It's just vapor water. Well, what we found over time was that it's not better than smoking cigarettes. It has its own dangers. It has its own problems, right? So what did we see? Started to realize that the amount of nicotine that's put in a vape cartridge that the kids use and they vape with is about twice as much as in a pack of cigarettes. So one vape cartridge is good for, equal to what a pack of cigarettes or a couple pack of cigarettes might be, but it is double the amount of nicotine. Nicotine is the addictive factor. You see, for all of these companies, the key is repeat sales, whether it's cigarettes, vape flavors, anything like that. When you make a product like that, for you to make long-term profits, you have to have people buy it again and again and again. And a really good way to get them to buy it again and again and again is if they're addicted to it, right? So twice as much nicotine is in a vape than is in a pack of cigarettes. Nicotine is a very powerful drug. It is very addictive. I love to talk to people. I've never been a smoker. I've never been a cigarette smoker in my life, but a lot of my friends were, and some of them still are. So a lot of them gotten off. Thank God. They got the patch, they got other medical assistance to get off. But some people never did. And I know people who, after 40 years, went back onto cigarettes. It is that powerful. That draw is always there for them. So it's the nicotine that they crave, that the body craves, right? It never goes away. So that's the first thing. Then we started seeing that the vapes were being filled with drugs. First, we saw THC, which is the active drug in marijuana, because there's really no smell to it. There's not that pungent marijuana smell that, somebody lights up a joint. You could smell that. In law enforcement, when we're in the academy, they burn marijuana and we smell it and they say, it's a smell like no other. It's a unique smell like nothing else in the world. And it's true wherever you go, right? Can't you walk, like now that it's legal, pot's legal, don't you walk around everywhere and go, oh, somebody's smoking pot? Or somebody goes, I smell a skunk. It's not a skunk, it's somebody smoking pot, right? It's a unique smell. Well, they put THC in there and opium goes in there. All right. Opium. You know what that is? That's heroin. Heroin's an opium. And how addictive is that? So that's in there now. I saw the other day that there are forms of cocaine, barbiturates, every kind of drug you can imagine is now in these vapes. And these kids are buying them and they're using them and they're getting high with them. They're getting high in school. Not safe, not good, not better than smoking. We all know that people can get what's called popcorn lung, which is an infection of their lungs. it can be very, very bad. It can hurt you. It can kill you, right? So it's not better than smoking cigarettes. It's worse. And after the pandemic, we are finding that kids are using drugs more. They are more prone to suicide than ever before, and they're vaping more than ever before. So I'm sure this is a problem in your school. So what did I do to try and educate people on this? And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the dangers, right? I went to a doctor friend of mine, Dr. Christopher Bader. Uh, Excellent young man, excellent young doctor. He worked in an emergency room, and I asked him, "Do you see a lot of vaping stuff?" He goes, "Yeah, we do. Kids coming in all the time. People coming in all the time with a vaping problem or something wrong with their lungs or whatever." So Chris and I got together and we wrote this book. I don't know if you can see it here. It's called "The Dangers, Health Risks, and Consequences of Vaping." You can find this on Amazon. Lieutenant Joseph Pangaro, Dr. Christopher Bader. You go in, put that in Amazon, you can find the book. It's not expensive, but it tells you an awful lot about the dangers, health risks, and consequences of vaping. So we talked about the dangers. In this book, I recount a story. A friend of mine, his son was in high school at the time, and the kid walks into the bathroom, and these two boys are in there vaping with opium. And this kid got a whiff of it and almost went down to the ground. And he was lucky. His father was very upset and angry with the school district that they're not doing something to cut down on vaping. So there's a couple things I see with districts. Number one, they go, yes, we have a vaping problem and we need to aggressively go after it with rules, regulations, investigations, charges, whatever it is. Then I see other districts say, well, we don't really want to cause a problem with the kids, so we tell them not to do it, but we know what goes on. And then other people say, we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem. You're kidding yourself, right? Kids aren't smoking pot in your school either, right? And they're not drinking beer, right? It's ridiculous. This is what young people do to get involved in these dumb things. We have to take an aggressive stance. You don't have to involve the police, but you can do things within your district policy. So this is about the dangers, the health risks, which we talked about, and the consequences. I was asked by several school districts when I went in and did an assessment if I could do training for the kids and the staff, right? Why is it dangerous? Why is it a health risk? Why is it this and that? So one of the things they wanted me to do was to do a program for the parents, to explain to the parents the dangers, health risks, and consequences of vaping and how the school was going to handle it, to lay out the kind of thing they're going to do to investigate, what they're going to do if they catch your kid with vape with THC, vape with drugs in it. What if your kid is selling them, right? What if your kid's buying them, right? Or if your kid goes down in the bathroom because they're smoking opium in there, right? They're vaping opium. So that's why we put this book together to give you all that information. So I'll talk about some more dangers real quick. Not only do they have drugs in there, right? Your kids are all sitting around, hey man, try a hit, try a hit, try a hit. Bang, your kid takes a hit of something. Is that what you want? Is that what you want in the school? These vape pens are powered by a lithium battery. Lithium batteries, we know, explode. They explode. I got tons of video of them exploding in people's pockets, exploding in their backpacks, starting fires, right? There are instances, and I recount them in the book, where somebody's vaping with a vape pen and the battery explodes and the shrapnel comes out, cuts a guy's throat and kills him in his car while he's sitting there vaping. So imagine if you have these kids vaping and they got it in a backpack and the backpack's in the locker and it goes on fire. Now you got a fire in a school. What if it blows up and hurts somebody? Doesn't kill them, maims them, takes out somebody's eyeball. Vaping is not better than smoking. It's dangerous. So get the book, get yourself educated. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Joe at pangarotraining.com. Joe at pangarotraining.com. I'll put it in the information about the show. The other thing that you can do is I created a series of video programs for students, for parents, and for staff members. There's a different video for each group. Each one is about 45 minutes long. And what I've seen schools do is that you can go to integraservices.com, Integra, Integra, services.com. Go to their website, look in there, and at the bottom of one of the pages, you'll see our video training. Click on that, and it'll take you so that you can buy this. So what districts are doing, is that they're buying all three videos, access to the three videos, very inexpensive. And during an assembly, they're showing the video to the kids to explain to them the dangers, health risks, and consequences of vaping. Then they have a faculty meeting and they play it for staff where they let them know the dangerous health risks and consequences of vaping. And then they lay out what the policy is for the school. And then they do an assembly night for the parents and they bring all the parents in and they let them see the video and explain to them how they're going to handle vaping in their districts, whether they're going to do re-education, whether they're going to do police contacts, if it's drugs, if we're in distribution or whatever. No matter what, the videos are helpful to help you combat vaping. I see articles all the time. What are we doing about vaping? School people ask me all the time, what about vaping? What can we do about vaping? Well, here's something you can do, right? Have your friends subscribe to this channel, learn about these things, get the book, get the videos, and educate yourself to save these kids from making lifelong mistakes. All right, I want to thank our sponsors, Blue 360 Media, my publisher, and RiotTint.com. Riot Tint, awesome. When I do threat assessments, first thing I tell them is you got to secure the building from people getting in. And how do you do that? One of the first things you do, besides locking the door, is you cover the window with safety film. Riot Tint makes amazing safety film. I trust them implicitly. RiotTint.com. All right. And then there's medical essential diagnostics. If you're in New Jersey and you work for any government agency, you can go in and get a health screening for no cost to you and to adults in your family. Find out something wrong and live, right? So those are our sponsors. Make sure you go check them all out. And remember, like, subscribe, and let's all be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem.